So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another idea, something that's going to be able to help you make changes in your life so that you can lose all that weight that you're after and keep it off. That's the key. We don't want it coming back on. We don't want it to be a short-term change. We want it to be a lifelong change so that you can feel healthy for the rest of your life. Now, before I jump into today's topic, make sure you head to ditchingthediet.com where you can jump on, download my book, you can look at my program, you can book a call directly with me, and I can help you on your journey to be able to lose that weight and keep it off. So head to ditchingthediet.com and you can get started and really start losing the weight today. Now, with all that said, I want to talk about two key things as to why you need to eat breakfast every day. So two reasons why you should be eating breakfast every day. And the reason I wanted to do this video and this podcast was because it drives me crazy when I speak to people all day, every day on the phone about not eating. So many people talk to me about how they're fasting all the time. Now, I don't need to say too much about fasting. You would have heard my views on that on many other videos, or you can go jump back and watch those or listen to those podcasts. But I'm not a huge fan of fasting for weight loss. I think it has other benefits, but call it out right now, I'm not a fan of it for weight loss. And I hear so many people that I speak to, so many women particularly, that they go to bed at, 9 o'clock, and they don't eat till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock the next day. That's an enormous amount of time without food. And so breakfast is the number one skipped meal of the day. I hear it, I would say almost every second call. People say to me, I actually skip breakfast. I just have a coffee for breakfast, or I have this, or I don't have anything at all. And that's probably the most common thing that I hear in all reality when I talk to people about what they eat on a day. So I want to give two reasons. Here are my two reasons for why you should never do that again. You should absolutely eat breakfast every day. And let me tell you this, if you want to lose weight and you want to lose weight at a good rate, you need to eat breakfast. You need to eat consistently. You will lose weight faster eating more food. Not necessarily more calories, but the right food, and eating more often. That doesn't mean you need to prepare 6 crazy meals a day or anything like that, but let's talk breakfast. So, number one, I want you to think about when you wake up in the morning. You've gone without food, right? You've gone without food from 8 o'clock the previous night. You might wake up at 6 or 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning. It doesn't really matter, but you've gone without food for 10, 11, 12 hours, 8 hours, how long it is, from when you went to bed, or when your last meal was, which might have been an hour or so or 2 hours earlier than when you went to bed. So you've gone for a good period of time without food. So everybody's fasting at some point. Now, the problem with this is when you wake up in the morning, a lot of people will wake up already in a stressed state, right? So you think about it. You might be one of those people that the heart rate's a little higher in the morning as you're getting out of bed, and maybe the first thing you do is roll over, look at your phone, start checking emails, and then what happens? More stress, because you're like, oh, I've got to get this done today, I've got to get that done today. There's no sort of mindful time, there's just on. And the problem with that is when we get up in the morning, our body has used up all of the glycogen stores held in our liver from the food that we ate the previous day. So generally that's what's happened, and your body is sort of running on empty. But it's not quite like a car, your body. It won't just stop. It'll just find other fuel sources in your body to make up the difference. But the problem is your body is under stress at this point. So we want the body to access fat stores, but we don't want to do it in a stressed way, because when we're stressed, then we get increases in the hormone cortisol. Now, that is the major stress hormone in our body. So when we wake up in the morning, we will have increased levels of cortisol anyway. But then when we put ourselves into more of a stress state where we rush around in the morning, we don't eat any breakfast, we don't take something to settle our bodies, everything goes a bit haywire. And the problem is that when cortisol increases, which is stressed, so when you're hungry, you're more stressed. When you start working and you're still hungry, you're more stressed. And you might even teach yourself that you're not hungry in the morning, but your body is out of gas, right? So that's why you've got to put something in, otherwise your body is under stress. And when your body is under stress from you've got that increased cortisol happening, then what happens is your processes in your body stop working as well as they should. Even your digestive processes don't work as well as they should. So I always talk about how hormones don't make you gain weight, but they're an inhibitor on your journey to lose weight, because this cortisol is a weight loss inhibitor, and cortisol is your major stress hormone. So back in the day, when we didn't live our lives the way that we do now, we just rush craziness, you would get increased stress and increased cortisol levels when you're in a fight or flight situation. Maybe walking into a cave and there's a bear in the cave. Woof, everything's on. Your cortisol levels are up, your adrenaline levels are up, and that's all well and good, but then they subside and your body can go back to normal processing. But a lot of people live in a state of high stress all the time, which is not the way our body was really designed. And so we're in this high stress, and so we have increased cortisol levels all the time, and those increased cortisol levels stop our body's processes, our digestive processes working as well as they should, and so therefore it slows our roll in being able to lose weight. So it's actually really unhelpful, because we're in a stressed state and our body is depleted of energy that we need. So we need to put more energy in, and you'll feel better, more relaxed and more calm when you put some food in your mouth first thing in the morning. Now, don't misunderstand me. That doesn't mean anytime you feel stressed, you should go and shovel food in your mouth. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you fasted for a long period of time. It's better to actually eat a good breakfast so that you've got the energy that you need for the day, and it will help to reduce that cortisol level. I'll talk about cortisol on a whole nother podcast and talk about it in more detail, but I'm talking about this from a breakfast perspective. It's really important to get some food in the morning, and everything will operate better in your body. So that's tick number one. Secondly is your body is not as smart as your brain. And so your body, if you go without food for long periods of time, which we do when we sleep, our body doesn't know when it's getting the next meal. And so it will store more as fat as a protective mechanism. There's some conjecture about this either way, but I see it all day, every day. Those people who don't eat frequently are the ones who hold on to more weight every single time, right? So what I would say to you is, I want you to think about the breakfast that you're eating or not eating, and then when are you actually eating in the day? Are you really hungry by that point? You've got stress going on in your life, and your body's going to hold on to that next meal more. And then do you binge more when you haven't eaten breakfast? The next meal at 11 or 12 o'clock, are you eating a bigger meal because you're like, man, I'm really hungry? So that's the challenge, right? So we know that food, when you're not giving your body consistency, it believes there's some sort of a famine. Bang, it's going to hold on to more on the next time that you eat. So I would certainly encourage you to have breakfast so that you don't do that every single day. So what happens is people wake up in the morning and they go, I'm not going to eat this morning. I'll do fasted cardio and I'll just go without food and I'll be totally fine. It's going to be awesome. But then because of the other things that are happening in their body, they may be reducing calories for that morning. Generally, most people will then eat more calories to make up the difference, not even knowingly, but just because they're really hungry because they've gone without food for a long period of time. And so all the work that you're trying to do there is kind of undone. And then your body will hold on to more of that food as a protective mechanism anyway. So there are two reasons. There's probably 20 reasons why you should eat breakfast, but there are two that I wanted to talk about today. You want to get away from increased cortisol levels, which happens when we go without food for long periods of time as our body starts to really search for some sort of energy from anywhere in our body because it's depleted our glycogen stores in our liver that have been kept there sort of overnight to help to fuel our bodies. And then it's going to hold on to more as you go. It's like hold on to that food. If you don't put food in your mouth through a hole, it's going to go, oh, don't know when I'm going to eat again. So it'll store a bit more as fat the next time. And I would say this, I've spoken to lots of people about weight loss over the years. The people who have the most success are the ones who are happy about the journey that they're on. So back to the first point, the first of my 2 points, which was increased cortisol levels. If you're on the journey to losing weight and you're like, Baron, I go for walks, I'm eating the food, but I hate every minute of it. If that's how you're feeling, guess what's increased and elevated in your body? Your cortisol levels, because you're stressed about every situation. You're stressed about going for a walk. You're stressed about eating the food. It's too hard. I don't want to do this. I don't want to cut up the food. It takes too much preparation. I can just drive to Macca's. So in those situations where your stress hormone is up, that's a weight loss inhibitor. That's going to slow your roll. Now, food makes the biggest impact. Exercise makes the next biggest impact. But hormones play a role. It's not going to make you gain loads of weight. That's not a thing. But they will inhibit or slow down your weight loss attempts. So getting up here right is really, really important. In between your ears, getting your head right is super important, because when you're happy as opposed to frustrated, sad, and grumpy about the weight loss process, you will get a better result. So I actually, just before I did this podcast now, for those that are listening, I do it on YouTube as well. I was talking to my wife, I said, should I change my shirt? But does my hair look terrible? And she's like, it's all right, don't worry about it, you're fine. No, you should leave that shirt because of what it says on it. And so I looked down, I was like, oh, it says, always rad, never sad. And if you want to have success on a weight loss journey, you've got to be always rad and never sad. Because when we're sad, grumpy, frustrated, and upset, that cortisol stress hormone goes through the roof. And that's no good, because that's going to slow our roll down anyway. So here we go. Eat breakfast. That is super important every day. If you want to lose weight, eat breakfast. That is one of the most important things you can do on the day. Reduces the stress, ensures that you don't start holding on to food, holding on to more stuff that you don't need in your body because your body's scared that you're not going to eat again. So get on it. If you haven't been eating breakfast for 3 years, get up tomorrow morning and have some brekkie. Just have a couple of eggs. It'll be magic. Jump on that. Can't wait to chat with you tomorrow. Take care.